desde Las Vegas, Nevada. Iniciamos con el programa Hablando de bienes y raíces con Castillo y sus invitados. Comenzamos.
Muy buenos días, Las Vegas. ¿Cómo están? Yo soy Castillo. Estamos comenzando su programa de Hablando de bienes y raíces con Castillo y sus invitados. Estamos aquí en el estudio de Lawyer's Title. Hoy día, viernes 24 de febrero. Increíble cómo se está pasando el tiempo. Y vamos a darle la bienvenida a nuestras invitadas especial. Today we have two really awesome guests in the show, which it makes me really happy because I want to introduce, first of all, we're going to go ahead and introduce with Marisa. Marisa, good morning. How are you?
Marisa. No. ¿Vamos a hablar en español o en inglés?
En los dos. Okay. We'll speak both.
April, I'll just nod. No, it's cool. English is good. English is good. So I born in America, but my name is actually Marisa, but I got used to Marissa because that's what people do here, right? So Marisa Amalia was Gasco, and then I got married, and my husband is Kagan, which sounds great in English.
Yes.
You go to any Spanish-speaking country, I found this out on my honeymoon. I got to the hotel and I said, Justin y Marisa Kagan. That's my name. That's better or for worse for the rest of my life. You don't know what that means. I'll tell you later.
For the pronunciation in Spanish, you are correct. It's amazing. And also we have April. April, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm wonderful.
Good. Can you give me your name, last name, and the company you work for, please?
Sure. My name is April Canfield, and I work for Lawyer's Title.
Perfect. And how long you been in the industry?
Let's see. I started when I was 21, so about 5 years.
Okay.
I love that answer.
Very cool. And also, Marisa, how long you been in the industry?
This was a third career. So I was a child actress, and then I worked on the business side of the film industry for 20 years, and then I moved to Vegas when I was 40. So I've been doing this now 13 years now.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool.
Well, 12, almost 13.
Okay. And you work for EXP Realty.
I'm at EXP, yes.
Okay. Have you always been at that company?
No, I have not always been at EXP. It's a new thing. I was in property management prior to last year for like 8 years, and you can't do that at certain companies.
Correct.
So I was at Go Global Realty with Michael Rang. Before that with Deirdre Felgar before she retired, semi-retired, and then Simply Vegas. So I've learned a lot about our brokers in town, which is great.
Very cool. Well, again, that just talks about experience, right? Because, not everybody thinks that alike. Even though real estate is a process, right? You have a buyer, you have a seller, you have a property, you want to go ahead and put it in escrow does thing. But everybody takes approaches the industry in a different manner. And customer service makes a huge difference, right?
But I always followed, it was about the broker.
Right.
I was always looking at who is educated and a rock star in this area. Like, so when I first started, it was fine. But then when I wanted to get into property management, I really wanted to learn from the best. And Deirdre Felgar was my mentor in that. And then she decided to become an agent and not a broker anymore. And we went over to Go Global, which is where Michael Ring's company. And Go Global, because I was in Global, which is, thank you for having me. But I'm very passionate about Global. Yeah,
and we're actually going to jump into that because that's the reason why we're doing this show, because a lot of people don't realize that, real estate now is worldwide, right? Now we have, real estate companies that are, American real estate companies all over the world. And people are always kind of buy and sell real estate regardless. And that's probably one of the biggest and easiest way to secure general wealth, right?
Yes.
Here in the United States or any part of the country. If you own a piece of land, it makes a big difference. So explain to me a little bit about Go Global, about, what is it that because you are the chair.
I'm on the Global Business Committee of Las Vegas Association of Realtors. We have a Global Business Committee. Michael Ring is actually the chair.
Correct.
I'm the vice chair. And first off, guess what percentage of your database is going to buy a property somewhere else in the world?
Ooh, you know what? I have no idea. April, do you have any idea?
No, not that high. I wish. 10%, but 10% is still a lot.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot.
Absolutely.
When you think about your database.
Correct.
And look, my mom's from Argentina. My dad's from Italy. I traveled a lot as a kid. Excuse me. And so I speak Spanish, Italian, and French.
Oh, wow.
But there's a misperception about what being a global real estate agent means, because you don't have to speak a lot of languages.
Correct.
You do not need to know. You just need to be educated about culture, know how to deal with different types of clientele from different countries, because not everybody has the same customs.
Correct.
So I got the first step was getting my CIPS, which is Certified International Property Specialist.
Oh.
It takes a lot of days to get. There's about 6 different classes you have to take that are all day classes.
Okay.
To get the designation. And it focuses on different areas of the world and how they do business and what the culture is like. Mm-hmm. So I got that designation. And the whole reason I moved to Las Vegas, actually, and became a real estate agent was because I came here to take care of my mom and dad.
Oh, okay.
So they were retired here, and I needed the flexibility, which real estate really does give you that flexibility.
Yep.
But I got 7 great years with my mom, 10 great years with my dad, but they're both now no longer with us.
Okay.
So then I'm like, do I want to stay in Vegas? Do I want to keep doing this?
Right.
So I saw this position open up, which is global ambassador.
Okay.
There's a global program at NAR. Did you know that?
No, huh?
There is a global program at NAR, and I am one of 25 people representing our 1.5 million members around the world.
Wow.
I specifically am global ambassador for Italy, Portugal, and Spain.
Okay.
Such great countries.
Yeah.
España. My grandfather was from Spain.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of training from NAR, and there are just so many tools and resources available to us as members of NAR to learn all this.
So NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, provides this training. It gives you these tools, because really it becomes a tool to elevate your business to a different realm of real estate. And the percentage of real estate agents that jump into this opportunity are very minimal, from what I understand. Because I know that you guys every month here at the local, Association of Realtors, you guys have a meeting.
3rd Wednesday of the month at 10 o'clock.
And we don't have a lot of people jumping into this. I mean, there's a very few that really are passionate about it. And like you said, 10% of your clientele are kind of buy abroad. My wife has a really close friend that she lives in Oregon, and she purchased a property in Malaga.
Ah, beautiful.
And she's like, you guys need to buy here. So we're like, okay, so what is the process? And we've been doing real estate for 20 years. And we're like, you know what is the process of that?
Different.
So can you give us that, if there's somebody here that wants to invest abroad, what is the process? What do we need to do? What do we need to learn to make sure that we have a successful transaction? Because the laws and regulations in different countries, they vary, right?
Well, and there's different reasons for moving. Sometimes people want a second home.
Correct.
Sometimes people want an investment. And sometimes people are really thinking about moving.
Right.
So those are all considerations that we don't have the time to go into all of that. But there was a time, it's coming to a close, but there was a golden visa program available for many years.
Okay.
Where they were basically saying, hey, if you come buy a property, that gets you residency status and on track to citizenship in our country. So people were taking advantage of that in Portugal and in Spain. So like what Las Vegas's market has dealt with, how all the people moving from California or New York, where there's high income tax, high property taxes, right?
Correct.
When they started buying up property here, what happened to our market?
Yep.
It went through the roof, and it became unaffordable for a lot of people that live and work here, which is awful.
Correct.
Same thing is happening in Portugal and Spain. So Portugal already shut down the golden visa for real estate.
Okay.
You can still, like in most countries, buy your way in, but it's a higher price tag and it's different way of doing it.
Right.
Spain, right now they're trying to pass a law where they would tax you 100%.
Ouch.
On any property you buy, which I don't think is going to pass.
Right.
But I do think they're going to restrict the ability to become a resident.
Right.
Which means you can still go and buy a property and live there for parts of the year. It's just based on whatever treaty you're a part of as far as the immigration.
Correct.
So it's usually not, for us, it's 90 days out of every 180 days.
So you got to be there physically for up to 90 days.
Up to 90 days.
And then, but then you got to
leave.
You got to leave for 180 days, and you got to come back.
It's 90 days every 180 days. There's actually a calculator online.
Really?
The Shenzhen calculator. It's that Shenzhen zone of the EU.
Oh, wow.
So now that's just for the EU. That it's different from country to country.
Of course. of course. Now, you mentioned something that, it really blew my mind that you said, 100% taxation.
That's not yet. So if you're really thinking about doing it, you better move now.
Right.
I'll help you after the show.
We'll definitely
No,
go and grab some
serious.
coffee because I think it's very important. But, April is here on the behalf.
Everything.
It is.
Yeah, April is here in the behalf of the escrow side because when we have here in the United States, when we have a foreigner that purchases a property here, there is a law that's called FIRPTA. Right? Mm-hmm. And, a lot of the people or a lot of the real estate agents and, we just talk the truth here. A lot of the real estate agents don't understand what determines if you qualify for FIRPTA or you don't, because that makes a big difference on the amount of money that escrow will hold at the end of the transaction. Isn't that correct, April?
It is. For myself, I just go 15%.
Okay.
To be safe.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's up to them to work it out.
Right. But there is a form that needs to be filled out, and there's certain questions that you need to get the answers. It's not a test, but you need to get the answers right. Otherwise, it will become an issue when you do your preparation of the taxes. Isn't that correct?
It is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It all starts with the purchase contract.
Okay.
That's where it is.
Okay.
Everyone sees it. Everyone agrees to it. And the sellers and the agents are aware if there's a FIRPTA involved. That's your first thing to look at.
Okay.
Well, I'm hoping they change the 300,000 price tag of exclusion.
Absolutely.
That would be nice because where can you buy something for under 300,000 now?
Oh.
Kind of tough.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's current. That's one exclusion, which I love, that they have that exclusion. It worked a few years back, but not much anymore.
No. And especially that's one of the ways to get out of it is the buyer has to live in the property or intent. I think it's 2 years.
Owner occupied under 300,000.
Yeah. So investors, they have money.
Right.
They want to get it. They want to invest it somehow.
So here's a question. Is it just the purchase price?
Yes.
So if you're smart, you can say $299,999
Exactly.
and they're paying X amount of fees. So the buyer pays certain fees.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm not an accountant. By the way, neither one of us are accountants. You're not an accountant. No. I'm not an accountant either. So please always consult your professional
Absolutely.
tax attorney.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we always disclose that, right? We just say we're not tax preparation
Right.
company.
Right.
We are just collecting because there is a portion of what escrow's responsibility is which is one of the biggest in the real estate transaction, which is manage the money, right? You have a cash buyer, you have a cash,
Well, so before we bash the IRS.
No.
There's a reason for it. Think
Right.
about it. If you have a foreign investor, they don't typically pay taxes here.
Correct.
Right? Maybe they do if it's an investment property for a long time. The property manager's they're supposed to have an I-10, they're supposed to withhold, they're supposed to pay taxes. But so if they sell and if escrow doesn't withhold, who is the person that can pay these taxes?
Right.
The American that just bought the house.
buyer.
And so the
Withhold.
law reads that buyer is responsible for the taxes.
Correct.
So a wise buyer's agent who is on that side of the transaction will make sure that there's 15% withheld
Right.
from the seller.
Right.
So it incents them to actually file the taxes that year and they get it back. It's just a matter of filing.
Absolutely.
And that's definitely your approach, April. You're trying to solve an issue in the future, right? You're trying to go ahead and make
Right.
sure that everybody
Avoid the problem.
It's covered, and there is no future litigation because literally, I tell everybody, I said, escrow is a very transparent portion of the real estate transaction, and sometimes we have to be the bearers of bad news. We just had another real estate agent here, and saludos Alfredo, that was helping out, but he was telling us about a story about how FIRPTA could really become an issue and create a problem at the end of the transaction if we are not prepared. And all parties need to be prepared. The seller needs to understand what FIRPTA is all about. The buyer needs to understand what FIRPTA is all about. What are your recommendations as an escrow officers for those agents that are helping in this transaction? The key questions that they need to ask so like that they know what they're getting themselves to April.
Communicate from day one.
Okay.
From when you're writing that contract, read the contract.
Uh-huh.
I came from the Bay Area where we did read the contract and we interpreted on our escrow instructions.
Right.
So to me, that's very, very important. So ask those questions.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't assume that the listing agent's taking care of it.
It's heartbreaking to say, but it's true. Wouldn't you agree, Marisa?
Yeah, yes. In my experience,
Please.
I always try to be kind about it. I don't know if I come off that way, but I always have a timeline, and I always have every possible thing that could be going wrong. And even if it's not on my side of the transaction, I'm the one that sends the email, making sure people are aware. Are we, and ask those questions. Of course, you're supposed to disclose FERPTA on the MLS.
You're supposed to.
Okay. So if a listing agent doesn't know because they don't know.
Right.
Okay. But that's why it's incumbent upon us to make sure we think about that and cover it in the contract.
Correct. So now let's let's switch gears a little bit, Marisa, y vamos a hablar un poquito en español. And I apologize,
okay.
April. Hay mucha comunidad hispana aquí en Las Vegas. Han comprado bienes raíces aquí en Las Vegas. No necesariamente todos están con un estatus legal.
Ya sé.
Y ahorita con este cambio de presidencia, estamos viendo que mucha gente están planificando o están ya planeando diciendo, si algo llega a suceder, tengo que vender. ¿Qué tipo de mensaje o cómo puedes tú preparar a esas personas que pudieron comprar pero no tienen un estatus legal? ¿Cómo lidiar con este proceso de la venta para que entiendan de que se tienen que pagar impuestos de la ganancia que estás recibiendo, ¿no?
Sí.
Por favor.
Tienen que pagarlo. Eso lo que es, todos tienen ciudadanía en un país.
Ajá,
¿no?
claro.
Entonces tienen que buscar la información acerca del treaty, tax treaty, entre esos países.
Okay.
Pero pueden vender la casa, van a tener el mismo situación de 15% que van a
retener.
Pero cuando van a tener un ITIN, casi todos tienen que tener algo para poder tener la propiedad. Hay algunos que tienen préstamos.
Claro.
¿No? Entonces, casi todos, en mi experiencia, no importa si tienen papeles o no, están pagando taxes. Están aquí pagando taxes, comprando comida, comprando cosas y pagando taxes. Es algo esencial para la economía de Las Vegas.
Claro.
Es algo para mí que no me gusta, lo que está pasando ahora, y hay muchas personas que tienen miedo, pero tal vez no importa si están aquí o no, van a poder vender la casa.
Claro.
Lo que no sé es las reglas federales, si pueden hacer algo acerca de esas casas. I can't say it in Spanish.
Go ahead, say it in English.
My fear is, are they going to try to take ownership of these homes, like the federal government? I hope not. Can you speak to that at all?
You know what?
That's the fear I've been hearing, is that they're worried that they're going to lose their house.
No, because, and we were just talking, April, just so we could catch you up, because we were saying, there's a lot of Hispanic community, a lot of Hispanics that have purchased properties here with ITIN numbers. They don't have a legal status to be in the United States, but they have a work permit. They're legally here, but they don't have a status that could definitely make them stay here. And with the change of government right now, we have a lot of people, especially in the Hispanic community, that are freaking out. They're freaking out. They're like, I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. So I asked her, I said, is there a scenario that we could explain to people that say, even that, something happens, let's say one of your family members are removed from the United States, you could still sell your home. You could still,
and you don't have to be here.
No.
Everything, you can, I've done plenty of transactions where either the seller or the buyer was in another country.
Correct.
So you don't have to be here to be able to sell your house. You don't have, if you're staying here, I would say don't feel like you have to list your house.
Right. Oh,
unless you're making the move now on your own. But I don't think they should fear. A lot of agents are going to be mad at me.
No.
I never want somebody to list out of fear.
I love that.
I want them to sell when it's the right time to sell.
You know what, Marisa? You are a wonderful real estate agent. Because I know right now a lot of people, especially in our Hispanic community, they're like, if you're scared, I'll sell your home. And it's like, no, you have to have a plan.
They're still going to live here. They're going to pay rent. That's worse.
Right.
Let them own what they own, as long as, and that's why I made the caveat, as long as the federal government doesn't have some sort of plan of trying to take the property, but I don't see how they could legally do that.
No, and that's her question, right? Her question was, if somebody does get removed, can the government take the property? I'm like, no, because the deed,
Right.
it belongs to that person, right?
It's a lot to undo.
Actually, that's a great escrow question.
It is an escrow question.
Because I'm sure it's not, even though things have changed, I'm sure there have been situations where people were on the title and then they were in another place in the world. I mean, does it really matter as far as transfer of ownership?
No.
Oh, good. You made me feel so much better.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's a great point that you're bringing up, Marisa, is, when a homeowner gets removed out of the country and they get sent back to their country of origin, it could be, Mexico,
Wherever.
it could be whatever, right? There is a process to transfer the title, which, they got to go to the American embassy in their particular country and then sign the deed. You have done that in the past, haven't you?
In Germany.
The RON online signings.
Okay.
You do the online ones now?
Yes.
Perfect.
Now,
Not everybody does, so that's really great.
And I have to put this in. Every title company is different because they're
Correct.
underwriters. Some accept it, some do not.
Right.
So it just depends.
Depends. No, but that's a great. I wasn't going to bring that up because I wasn't sure what lawyers does.
No,
but that's great.
Yeah.
The ability to do it all
Always
online.
ask.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
phenomenal.
But April, you could talk a little bit about, that whole process, right? What would it intake to go ahead and get that ownership transfer if somebody is not in the country anymore? It's not going to stop the transaction. You could still transfer it. And I think it's a great point that Marisa is bringing, saying, look, you know what? Don't panic sell.
Right.
Plan your strategy. Have a plan and execute it. Let's hope that it doesn't happen. But if you need to, at least you are aware of what you could do.
And
correct?
you know what? Planning is a great thing. Interview some agents. Make sure they have your best interests at heart. Pick someone that you trust.
Oh, I say call you.
Have them.
No, honestly.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, I would say, you know what? Call Marisa because she is definitely here for the right reason.
Well, it's funny because, all right, so I was in show business. I came here to take care of my mom and dad.
Yeah.
I didn't really need to work, which is I'm
Correct.
very fortunate.
Good for
but I
you.
really love helping people. And my why was I didn't have a great agent when we bought our house here.
Good old story, the same.
That was my why. And I
Yes.
just really believed that people deserve competent representation that have their interests at heart. And so when I became a property manager, I just loved going on listing appointments because I always went there saying, okay, why are you selling? Here's this is how much your property is worth if you want to sell today.
Correct.
Here's plan B, which is make it a rental property.
Right. Get positive
Because the
cash flow.
ROI you have on it based on what you bought it for is pretty high and you're not going to find that anywhere else.
Correct.
And so it was great to be able to give them those options rather than them thinking, oh, they just want me to sell because they want to make their money.
I love that.
I
I really do love that because, again, the mindset is education, right? We want to educate. And I tell all my real estate agents that I invite here in the, I call it the hot seat, right? That you're sitting here and I say, you know what? We're not just real estate agents. We are real estate advisors. People with money, they don't have a financial guy. They have a financial advisor because they're going to give them advice to make the right moves with their money.
Well, and think about it. If you're here and you own your property and God forbid your family gets removed,
Right.
why wouldn't you have that with a property manager maybe?
And collect rent.
Rent it out, have your account here in the United States. You're making US dollars.
And
You're
then,
making US dollars. You're paying taxes in the US on the income. But that is something that can really be beneficial, especially knowing that economies all over the world are not as stable.
correct.
But it's an alternative.
Yeah. No.
And it's a part of that generational
Generational wealth, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still continues.
Because-
regardless
Absolutely.
of
You can
what's
you can
going
hold
on.
title even if you can still own the property and not be here.
Yes, and that's the biggest thing that I think people need to understand. That yes, it is scary, and I totally get it.
Can't even imagine.
And I sympathize with all those families because we all have families that, especially in if we're not born in the United States, we have in our it's funny because I was having dinner last night with my family, and I said, you know what. Right now, there's a lot of families that are sitting together having dinner, and half of them are legally here, and the other half are not.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that if you own a piece of the United States, that means that if you're just sitting somewhere else, you could still make money off of that. So your mindset has to change of, yes, you're probably going to have a burden of not being physically here, but you could benefit from being a homeowner in the United States.
Absolutely. And the other thing, it's funny because this whole immigration debate, and our families are divided, right? Some
Correct.
of our family is very left and some of it's very right, and like, I really believe, like, I love and respect people. I'm not going to cancel them over who they voted for.
Of course not.
But I do want to understand.
Yeah.
I do want to understand why,
Yes.
right? So the whole subject of immigration came up and with my cousins, and I said, there's a whole economy here of people that work really, really hard. Even in construction, you see, there are companies hiring people that do not have legal status
Correct.
and profiting off of them.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So how hypocritical is it that
Yes.
we're willing to look the other way and, like, your landscaper,
Yep.
your maid, there's cleaning services,
People that
all
raise
these
your kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And my cousin literally said, "Oh, but our landscaper has an LLC. He has an I-10." And I'm like, yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
And it never occurred to her that maybe they weren't here legally.
Correct. Now, let me ask you a question. So when somebody like myself wants to buy a piece of property in Spain,
Oh yeah.
right? I don't have the legal status
It's okay.
to be in Spain, right? And I've heard a lot of people, they're like, you know what? Well, I heard that some countries don't allow you to be a homeowner or hold the land rights because you're not a resident or a permanent resident or a citizen of that country. How do we maneuver that question
It's different
for
in
people?
every country, but for Spain, so first of all, escrow and title does not exist.
What?
It's not a thing in Spain.
Really?
Everything is a notary. Now,
Oh, well,
notary,
yes.
notario
Yeah.
is not the same as
The notaries here.
It's not like going to UPS and getting somebody to.
Yeah.
No, most of them are lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's different ways to immigrate to a country if you want to immigrate.
Okay.
Okay, there's digital nomad visas.
Okay.
There's places where you can go and you can get resident. You can have that work visa to stay there for long periods of time.
Okay.
So it really is on a case by case basis. So I
Okay.
can't really give a blanket answer for
Right,
that.
right.
But as far as buying property, everybody can buy property and
Okay.
hold title.
All right.
Now, there's some people get loans. Yes, you can get loans.
Okay.
Typically, the down payment is a lot higher.
Correct.
Than we're used to in the United States.
What? There's no FHA abroad?
Right. We're so lucky. We're so lucky. So 40 to 50%, sometimes less, but that's pretty much what I would, if you get something less, awesome. But
Okay.
think at least minimum 40%. The other thing to keep in mind is that the buyer's agent, that exclusive representation, is kind of a novelty. It doesn't really exist in most countries.
Okay.
Now, why I'm very happy to be a part of the global program of NAR is that's what we do. We go around talking about ABR. We teach ABR. We teach SRS. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm using acronyms.
Please.
So accredited buyers representative and sellers residential specialist. So there's different, and CIPS we teach as well. CRS, certified residential specialist.
Correct.
All of these designations from our affiliates and from our own NAR Center of Research and Development. We provide the education. And so when you show other agents in other markets other ways to do business, they start thinking, oh, wow, that's interesting.
Right.
Like the other thing, you could see the same property listed by 4 different agents, 4 different companies.
What?
Different price points, different pictures,
Really?
non-exclusive listings.
Oh. So
Non-exclusive listings. So it's a kind of it's like the Wild West. If you're used to the United States system,
Correct.
it's very hard to get used to,
Right.
Because you don't feel like you have proper representation.
Right.
Now, the agents on that side of the pond, they are used to being promised a certain percentage. We
Right.
won't go into that.
Oh God, no.
A certain percentage, and they're going to collect their money from both the buyer and the seller. In their system, the buyers always paid their fees for the most part.
So they're ahead of our curve.
That's why when the settlement happened,
Yes.
the very first webinar I had for Nevada State, I actually invited panelists from all over the world to discuss their system for us to understand the sky is not falling. There is
Yes.
life after a settlement.
Yes.
There is another way of doing business. These people have been making money and doing great careers
for a long
with
time.
a totally different system.
Yeah.
So that was actually really, and I had people come into that particular meeting that normally don't go to global events. So it was really
Right.
kind of interesting.
That is very cool.
But it really hasn't opened my eyes. I wish that I could have gone and testified in those cases. because there is no multiple listing service.
Right.
So what I would say is if you're a buyer or an agent trying to help their client, so my role is to help agents connect with other agents in all of those territories. We have international Realtor members, 8,000 of them throughout the world.
Wow.
So in Spain alone is about 900.
Oh my God.
Right. So if you tell me as an agent, you just call me and this is what I do for free. I do not take any sort of money or referral fee.
Right.
I just am there to help inbound and outbound trade. So for an agent, you've got a client who says, I want to go to Malaga. I would say, okay, so how much do you know about Spain? Let me explain how it works so you can properly educate your client.
Correct.
And then give them a list of names because most likely maybe they find the perfect property with the first agent they go to.
Right.
But there's a possibility they don't have any other properties and they may or may not have a way of working with buyers. Some do, some most don't.
Correct.
If they don't have the property that you want, they're most likely going to say, I'm really sorry, I can't help you. That's all that I have.
Right.
Then you got to move on to the next agent.
Wow.
I felt so guilty. I was looking for a property in Italy. Love this woman, showed me like 8 properties. None of them worked for me. And I was like, I just don't want to, I felt like I was being disloyal.
Yeah.
I really liked her. And she's like, I'm really sorry. Unless it's within this firm in a different area, I can't really help you.
So you're telling me that they have like small territories that they could, work with.
They can refer to another, like, I don't want to say names of brands, but whatever their brand is, if they're like, you're in one city, maybe it's Malaga and somebody else is working Valencia.
Right.
They can, within their company, refer out to another person. They will get something.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a couple of countries. You said Spain, Italy. What other countries?
Portugal. So because I've been with these 25 people who represent the whole world, I've learned a lot about other countries as well. And I'm able to refer out to the right person who has that information.
Correct. Now, one of the things that you said that the training is, well, first of all, very intensive, right? Because you need to understand, and it's not so much about buying and selling real estate. And the key word that stuck in my mind was learning their culture, because each culture performs very different. I mean, we know that there's certain cultures in the world that you could not address the woman, that the man is the one that does all the negotiation. And in other countries, it's the woman that makes the decision, and the man is the one that, just kind of sits on the side. So can you talk a little bit about the difference of understanding those cultures and how to respect those cultures? Because you don't want to come in and be that person that says, no, this is how we're going to do it. You got to really understand.
Well, I really, really highly recommend, if you don't have a CIPS, especially, in working in the Hispanic community, yes, I'm sure you know a lot about the Hispanic community, but why wouldn't you take advantage of the whole world and not just that Spanish-speaking clientele?
Correct.
So CIPS, start with the Certified International Property Specialist designation. We put it on here in Las Vegas once or twice a year.
Okay.
You can get the courses. So happy to let you know so you can tell people later on or whatever, put it out to your friends.
Please.
But I would start with that. If you can't take the time to take the full-on designation, there are resources out there like great book, Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands.
Oh.
Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands really delves into, and yes, it's generalizations.
Yes, of course.
You will always have a person. It doesn't mean that every person from a particular country behaves that way.
Correct.
It just means be aware.
Right.
That customs are different. And like, I actually invited to our first global meeting, which is the third Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. at LVR.
Very cool.
Third Wednesday. I invited somebody who never went to a global meeting, but I knew him from when I was at Simply Vegas.
Okay.
His first year in the business, he was working in the show Love.
Okay.
Cirque.
Oh, a lot of foreign people there.
Okay. But he's from America, right?
Okay, right.
He was one of the few non-circus people that was in the show, but he comes from musical theater background. And Brendan King.
Okay. I heard of him.
So now he's known in the luxury market and everything, but he, I invited him to come on this panel. He's like, why? And I wanted to talk about somebody who worked with foreign buyers, because I knew his first year, it was like almost exclusively Cirque performers, and they're from all over the world.
Yes.
And so it was amazing because he knew a lot that he didn't even realize
that he knew
was global.
Right.
And so I'm hopeful that it'll come back. Come back, Brendan.
No, and that's very cool because, again, right, there is this whole segment of the real estate market that we just don't know. And I always tell people, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And being educated as a professional, it gives you a different level of now you're serving the public. Right.
Correct.
And here in Las Vegas, yes, we have a very big Hispanic market, but we have a very big Eastern European. We have a lot of Brazilians. We have a lot of people from all over the all over the world, Filipinos, you know, and April, you know, you could, you know, the culture because your personal experience with them, you treat them a little bit different, right? Isn't that true?
I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
So
You have to meet people where they are.
right.
Yeah.
So as an escrow officer, at the end of the day in the transaction, literally what you're doing is you're, you know, connecting with that person, trying to make them feel as comfortable as you can. Because let's be honest, right? They buy a house and they get to the title company and they're scared. They don't know what they're doing. You know, like you said, you know, Marisa, the buying process in other countries is not like here. They show up to the title and there's a stack of forms like this and April is sitting there saying, hi. And you're like, I never heard of April before.
Give me your money.
Please. So can you explain how you make that process comfortable for them, please?
Sure. For me,
Yes.
people want to be treated like they're buying a $300,000 or a $3 million home.
Correct.
It's the same, yeah.
It is. To me, it is. Not for everyone. So I have that mindset from the very beginning. So when I meet them, you touch them.
Right.
You hold their hands. You tell them, we're going to get through this together. To me, that's how. No matter if they're Filipino,
Right.
Chinese, Hispanic, everyone still wants that human touch.
Correct.
To me, that's important. That's where it starts. And so once you do understand the different cultures, then you do kind of adapt to that.
Right.
Some shake hands, some don't shake hands.
I was going to say holding hands. Like
Yeah.
you got to be careful who.
Yes.
Absolutely. Who you address,
Yes.
the eye contact.
Correct.
All of that is just be mindful.
Yes.
You can't just say it's my way or no way. No.
Right.
Because to me, business, I wouldn't want to deal with someone that doesn't understand me.
Right.
I wouldn't. And
What about translation? Like, I mean, do you find that you've had to get translators in at certain deals?
I always ask, what do you feel comfortable with?
Okay, great.
And I do kind of make a joke. Like, I will only tell you all the dirty the words and I don't think any of that's an escrow. So
Right.
I want them to fully understand. So if they speak Mandarin, Chinese, Spanish,
Right.
whatever you want, we'll accommodate.
Yes.
It's never a problem.
You know what? I just, FYI, I think I need to put this out there.
Please.
Just because you speak Spanish, do not put yourself in a position to translate legal documents.
Absolutely.
Yes. That is a liability scenario because a lot of the agents sit there and like, oh, no. You know what? I'll translate. And
Oh, baby.
you don't want to
If it
do
goes
that.
wrong, if it's fine,
Yeah.
I mean, everything, you know, you could have
Yeah.
99 transactions that are fine. But
Yes.
if one goes off the rails,
Yes.
that will get you in deep doo-doo.
Yes. And what I do also is if we have notaries that do a lot of our signings, I go over as an escrow officer the estimate, the note, and that you fully understand that payment because it is my responsibility.
Yes.
I'm the escrow officer.
Yes.
If you don't understand it, that's my responsibility.
Right.
So that to me is important. The rest of the documents, if you want to explain it in Spanish,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I do make that announcement that these are the important documents.
Right.
But I think Marisa brings up a great point, which is, you know, let the professional do their job, right? I mean, the lender does his job, the realtors do their job. So let escrow handle it. And if we need a translator in a specific language, we will find one because that is our job. Because we are absorbing that responsibility.
Yep.
Because you want to be as far as, you know, that scenario where, well, you know, my agent said that this is what the document said. And I tell you something, in court, that stands.
Yep.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we could talk about horror stories here, you know, but I was thinking right now when April was talking about translation and everything, you know, one of the fastest growing demographics here in our city is the Ethiopian market. You know, I know an agent that he's just killing it. And all of his families are Ethiopian. Yes, they all speak English, but you know, it's just that connection, right? That
Yes.
you know, I know somebody that understands me, that where I come from, how my customs are, and everything. And that is key, isn't it?
It is. I think it's really relating to people.
Yeah.
It really is. And it always starts with trust.
Yes. Yes.
So it is, I think sometimes that similar background can, you know, provide that trust. Sometimes it doesn't actually.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, they'll go,
it-
I don't want
Yes.
them as an agent. I want
Somebody
else.
Somebody else. Yes. And that's really like, again, right? It's based on experience or, you know, or, how you've been treated in the past. But at the end of the day, we have you sitting here today because there is this segment of the Association of Realtors locally that is specific to train you on how to deal with multicultural people.
Absolutely.
Why not take that advantage? Why not expand your business?
Referrals.
Yeah.
I mean, I connect people so that they can have a referral to another country.
Right.
Or from them, they can get a referral from another country.
And that was going to be
inbound and outbound.
That was going to be my next question. How many people do you see from other countries that want to move to Las Vegas in a monthly basis?
So I'm really pushing, and I'm hoping we'll finally do it. Some MLSs track the data.
Okay.
So we're consistently, based on surveys from national, we're usually in the top 15, sometimes in the top 10.
Wow.
Of cities
that people want to move to?
International, that foreigners move to.
Right.
Okay. But, Florida is always in number one, and Texas is up there too. So I would love us to have the data to really be able to show everybody that we're international, because I've been getting a lot of pushback.
Right.
Because I've been involved in global for many years.
Yeah.
There's like this thought that, we're not global.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
we had 5 international companies. Our governor this recently got 5 international companies to come bring their businesses here. They're hiring people.
Oh, wow.
They're moving here.
Wow.
So, we have a lot. We've diversified our economy.
Yes.
It's not just about the hotel and casino world and tourism.
Yeah. No, and that actually, the reason why they diversified the businesses is, after September 11.
Yeah.
They realized, we could not depend just on tourism. Right. And now look at us. We have the studios coming. We have the sports. We have, Switch.
Yeah.
We have so many other
studios being built. Right.
Yeah. So they need everybody to come to Vegas to really service those need of the jobs, and having the ability to understand, what different people in the world think about the United States is a big thing. How can we help somebody purchase outside of the United States too? Because also the other question that I would love to talk is, the money scenario, right? Because we spend dollars, but they don't, they have a different currency. We need to understand that conversion, don't we?
You need to have relationships with people. If you don't already have one, there's Currencies Direct, but I use Money Core quite a bit.
Okay.
But there's certain programs they have where they watch the market and the conversion rate. And I think Money Core has a program. I heard about this. It was a few months ago, so I don't know if it still stands. Where they'll time the conversion. Like if you're going to buy in another property in the next 6 to 9 months, they will find the best time to convert your currency into the dollar so it benefits you. And in some cases, like if you're going to Europe, it fluctuates. Sometimes it's $1.10. Sometimes it's $1. I think it's down like $1.02 now. I'm not sure, but that's a lot of money.
It is.
That
8 cents.
8 cents is a lot of percentage. It's almost 8%.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about a $500,000 home, that adds up really quick.
So those programs and being, you want to really educate yourself as much as possible to be able to, when you save your client that kind of money when they know they're going to buy in another country,
right?
Boy, are you going to get more referrals, whether it's in your local market or for another country.
And that's a great point, Marissa, because again, people don't realize, they think, yes, we manage dollars. But, the currency rates change just like the stock market.
Oh, yeah. Some people play that.
Yes. Somebody's nieces in one part of the world, it affects all the currency throughout. And we see it all the time with the stock market going up and down. We're the, biggest one, but it affects your currency rate. So like you said, if you're going to buy a $500,000 home and now they're giving you, instead of giving you $1.10 per dollar, now it's like, under $1, you just shift. That's a win for you.
Yeah.
If it went up, you are short. So you have to understand that as well and have those conversations with an educated real estate professional that's going to advise you to make sure you make those decisions correctly. Because like you said, you want referral business at the end of the day. And usually people that buy abroad, they have friends that want to do the same. I told you, my wife, she, her friend bought in Spain. She's like, you guys should buy. You guys should do this. You guys should do that.
There's a local broker. Shout out to Michael Bartok. He just bought a place in Malaga.
Okay.
And he's already helped one of his friends buy a place.
Nice. So it's very important to, again, right?
That's great.
It's very important to connect with those agents that are outside of the box, because this is a product outside of the box, but it happens every day. People are buying and selling real estate at any part of the world, every hour on the hour, if you want to say that, and having the ability to understand that, having the ability to, help them maneuver through the paperwork. Because, you said there's no escrow and title in other countries. Mm-hmm. The paperwork might be a little bit different. I mean, I know that sometimes in Mexico, there has to be, you have to do a
Some places it's a 2-page offer letter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it really, so you really need that local person to walk you through. And that's what's great about NAR Global, because the agents that have been trained in those countries understand how we do business.
Right.
So they know the expectations and they can talk to the upfront and say, okay, I know you're used to this. This is what we do here.
Right.
They can really help avoid a lot of problems down the road because they manage expectations, right? Managing expectations is what we do.
Right. Right.
So I think that's great. I love our program. I love the agents I've met
Nice.
all over the world. They're really are, and they love being a realtor.
Perfect.
They care more about the code of ethics
Than some of us.
than most American realtors. I tell you, I mean, they just
I love that.
love it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Again, I've been blessed because, Vicky Primor gave us the connection with you, and I'm really happy. I mean, I feel
Nice to meet another great person.
No, but you know what? And April and I work together very great because we base ourselves on, knowing the right people that are doing it for the right thing. And I think you and I both agree that, you could tell that she's very genuine. She wants to really help people.
Yeah.
So
You look so familiar. I feel like I met you before.
she's been in the industry for a long
Yes.
time.
Were you lawyers always, or were you someone else?
No, I
think you helped my son buy his house.
Yes, I did. I did.
There we go.
I'm looking at you
Yes.
going like, I know this woman.
Yes, when you said Simply Vegas, I went,
Yeah. That's
it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So April's been around for a long time, and she's helped a lot of families. And
That is so crazy. My son came back from Reno. He bought a house when he was 23. Mm-hmm. And
April.
you helped him. Thank you so much.
well, this is great about the industry that, you know what? It's a big industry, but also it's a very tight knit. If you've been in the industry for longer than 10 years, you should know mostly everybody. I do tell you this, that me as the marketing rep for Lawyers Title, I want to get more involved in the, in your department, in the global side, because I think it's important for me myself to get educated as well on what's happening out there, right? I think it's a great topic. I know that, April and I will definitely try to attend the next meeting that you have, just to be there present. But I think it's important for us to, be well-rounded, right? Be well-rounded, understand what's really happening, because what changes are coming now, they're going to impact all over the world. Am I not correct on that?
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, yeah. I mean, there's just movement. People are moving around, whether it's because of climate change affecting where they live.
Right.
Or whether it's government change or,
Yeah.
They had like a huge spike in calls of Americans wanting to move abroad.
Oh,
in November.
I could imagine that.
Yeah. So and
silly.
It is silly, but I mean, I don't think that should be the major motivation,
because you got to take yourself with you. Change yourself.
Yeah.
That's true. No, but I mean, I think that some people have more fear than others about what's going on.
Yeah, and again, we know somebody down the road. We know a family that has that scenario, so we could sympathize with them as well. But at the same token, you know what? I still believe, and this is something that I talk every day with different people here. The best thing you could do is purchase here in the United States.
Oh my gosh, yes. My father was born under Mussolini in Italy.
Oh.
1927. My mom grew up under Perón in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
They moved here in the 60s and they love this country. And they instilled in me that whole idea of the American dream. I mean, we didn't come with a lot of money and I'm pretty much done everything in my life was just sheer will. And, you educate and you prepare yourself for when those opportunities arise. Some people say it's luck, but I don't believe in that. I really believe it's where your skill, you have the skill set, and so when that opportunity arises, you can really take advantage of it. So I've been blessed.
Good.
And this is an amazing country, absolutely, 100%. And I think that's what's so ironic about all of it. Immigrants that come here and become citizens are the most patriotic people. They love this country and everything it represents. Why? Because they know what the other side looks like.
Yes. And you know what? They sacrifice so much to get here, right? I mean, I know families that left their countries and they haven't gone back in 30, 40 years.
And I have 26 cousins in Argentina that have no way to apply for citizenship here.
Right.
But because they should have done it when their dad was alive.
Correct.
My mom and my and her brother were alive, there would have been a way to do it.
Right.
But he didn't apply.
Right.
And so that they call it chain migration.
Yes.
But that, you know, my father's sister was the first to be a citizen here. And then my father was able to apply. And it takes years to get the visa and, you know, but I just think we need to fix things so that we can get really great people who want to work and who want to educate themselves to come here.
Correct. But, you know, again, the bottom line is, you know what, even if you don't have a status immigration here and you have the capability to purchase, that's why a lot of banks do the IT number loans and everything. Purchase something, because if you are removed, like you said, you could have you could have a genuine way to generate income month to month from a rental in the United States.
And you know what? I really believe that vice versa. It's about a diversification of your portfolio. I know that I'm not a wealth management advisor, but I really truly believe it's about having a diversification within your portfolio. Okay. Because like you said, stocks go up, stocks go down. But real estate property, that value of a tangible asset, that's an amazing thing to have. Right. And you should have it in multiple places, not just the United States, if you can.
No, I agree.
And there are places all over the world where they have on-site management, where you can get a place. They will manage it and Airbnb it for you. You will be making money and paying off your
mortgage.
Yeah, your mortgage is paid for and then some.
Yeah. And again, I'm assuming that you're speaking of experience because you've had people that have done multiple properties in different countries and they see they're reaping the benefit of, you know, making that money on the rent. And, you know, if anything happens, they could decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to go on vacation to this place. I have a place I'm going to go visit for a couple of months or for a couple of weeks, repair it, whatever it needs to be. I mean,
retirement.
That's the other.
People looking at retirement. I mean, they really look at how much they're going to be making on their pension or if it's just Social Security. And if you take if you're making $2,500 a month, it's hard to scrape by here in the U.S.
Yes.
But guess what? In Mexico or in Spain and Italy and Philippines, so many places around the world. And culturally, sometimes people have family in other countries.
Correct.
So, but yeah, I think that you need to think ahead and plan.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, ladies, believe it or not, the hour is gone.
No way.
I am so serious.
Flew by.
I told you guys. It always happens. But, you know, it's because we talk about topics that we're passionate about it. And we love it. So I want to personally thank you, Marisa, for having the time honestly, for coming out here and educating us, because I definitely learned a lot. I don't think... And this is this is an open invitation. I think we could make this a weekly, monthly, however you're capable and available. Because I know you just flew in from Chicago yesterday, but I think this is a topic that we can continue to talk, because you bring a lot of different things, which is culture, immigration, money. There's a lot of things that we could definitely continue to talk. So we will be in contact. This is an open invitation that whenever you're available, I would love to have you here again. So Marisa, please give me your name, phone number, how people could get a hold of you, please.
Marisa Amalia Kagan, don't say it the other way. And my phone number is 310-927-5750. That's 310-927-5750. Feel free to text me, call me.
Perfect. Are you on social media?
I am. I'm Marisa Kagan, Realtor.
Okay.
And with one S, Marisa.
Yes, that was my mistake. I put double S. So April, please, again, thank you so much for taking the time. Give me your name, your phone number, your company you work for, and how agents could get a hold of you.
That's right.
Please.
So I am April Canfield. I am with Lawyer's Title at the West Charleston. So Nevada State Building, Bank Building, right by Red Rock. I always have my cell on. Or agents can text me, buyers, sellers, at 702-569-2933.
Perfect.
April Canfield.
And I know from experience, because I was there when my son signed, you did such an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
I can't believe I didn't recognize you before that. I was like, it was killing me. Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, I am JC Castillo. You could go ahead and call me outside of the air at 702-416-4302, 702-416-4302. Please, if you like the show, give us a like. If you don't, let us know why. We will definitely adapt to make sure that you guys are satisfied with our information. I believe we're doing the right thing, bringing the right professionals here to educate you. Please behave, because it doesn't cost anybody to be nice out there to each other. And again, don't forget, if you're a buyer or a seller, you have the right to choose the title company. So suggest it to Lawyer's Title. You could go ahead and have somebody like April do your closing, and we would really, really love that. that. So please have a wonderful weekend, behave, and we will be here next week with other guests. So I really appreciate you guys. Please take care of each other, and we'll see you